Hello world, this is another Truthfire Journal session as we look at all kinds of various Mojo journal stories that are happening out there in the world. I am Xailyyne Coach, a level 53 pod layer practitioner, and with me I have Bruno, a level 8 pod layer practitioner. And we're going to be talking about the modeling bubble and the music bubble. All right, Bruno, I thought we'd start off with the modeling bubble. Why is it not letting me have it? I have the document open. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Cool. All right, you see it?
Yep.
Cool beans. Here we go. New stuff. So first one is a Xailyyne.
Cool.
You kind of see there, she's really doing a good job to keep those cheeks kind of sheer, but there's just, I think, a little too much energy coming off that mouth. And the way her eyes are looking look kind of like right at me, I think.
Yeah, I think I see.
It's tricky, particularly with the two Durons, because they really do this look a lot. They try to keep their cheeks from moving. So I had to kind of focus on what, particularly what Xi looks like when it's in a held state, whether it's natural or altered. I think how much I'm seeing, like this left one particularly, and it looks like altered state, keeping your mouth like that. And then the eyes, are they piercing or drinking in? Which can get tricky too, because the Xailyyne tend to put a little vine to give himself like this, you know, a bit of a stare that gets altered state. All right, moving on. Anything that you see or want to jump in, please go ahead. Here's another Xailyyne. She actually riffs for me of some music artists, I think.
Yeah. This one's easier to see for me.
Yeah, it's tricky, but you see here that a lot of these models, they don't smile big a lot. It's like a thing. Okay, a Xailyyne.
Pretty classic.
Yeah, pretty classic. Has a strong like G pucker, but doesn't go past that lip line. All right. She was more challenging for me.
Oh.
Broader cheeks and fuller lips.
Could almost look like a Xailyyne to me.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Just, you know, that's where I went at first. But something kept bothering me about her, so I kept looking at her. If you go look at a bunch of pictures, I think you might be able to start taking it in. It's weird. A lot of times you can see it in just two pictures, but with her, it took a lot of different pictures because even right here, there's not a lot to grab onto. That's something tricky with the Xailyyne. Not a lot to grab onto. But yeah, I was thinking Xailyyne at first. For a while, actually, on this one. This is one I thought Xailyyne for a while. But the eyes, I think, are a little too penetrating, and I think I am seeing the mouth wants to move more. And again, looking at a series of photos of her, I found that overall I was still seeing that staring quality as compared, like, you know, that the Xailyyne I looked at. But her cheekbones and how little she emotes, most are posing, challenging.
Yeah, interesting eyes.
Yeah. Her, Xailyyne.
Classic.
Yeah. A lot of smooth cheeks, but yeah, classic besides that. They have any favor that see the Durhams, these more flatter cheeks, as compared to some of the more rounded cheeks that Durhams can have and also be attractive. You know, a lot of actresses who are Durhams, you know, they have faces like her, for example, but a little more rounded, just slightly in the cheekbone area. But models, apparently, they're not supposed to do that. At least
they have a lot of Photoshop done to these pictures, I bet.
That's been a big consideration. Very true. Yeah, that's another thing, Bruno, bringing that up, that will make this bubble quite challenging. is that the amount of makeup, the amount of posing, and the amount of photoshopping, you know, quite a lot going on there. Here, I believe, is an IG. The eyes, I kind of feel like I'm being locked on in both these pictures.
Yeah, I can see that.
The other ones I was looking at. Now here was a, what you don't see too often, a V Xi. Like for me, like the V alpha popped out right away, but then her cheeks kept bothering me because I'm like, those don't look like values-based cheeks. You know what I mean? But then she's got pretty strong V eyes, and then I finally like, wait, is it V Xi? But there it is, V Xi. You tend to see the V Xi a bit more with like automotive modeling and sport modeling and things like this. Not as much with like the lingerie swimsuit modeling kind of thing. I mean, unless you get into the adult film, and that's another thing entirely.
Right.
We'll have to get to that bubble eventually. Okay. Xailyyne with the flatter cheek riff. That's a lot of G though, I think. Even when she's holding still, it's got a lot of tone.
Oh yeah.
And the eyes don't look drinking. She's trying to make him look all like, oh, I'm just winsome, but no. All right. A few more here. Nope, not that one. Aha, another IG. Now she says obviously being able to get the picture on the left, I could definitely tell was values based. With the wideness of her smile here, I almost could think like a Xailyyne, but I believe those eyes are looking at me the entire time. Seems like it hooks up. It hooks up and kind of crests under, but she's looking straight through.
Yeah,
I don't feel tone in the eyes.
She reminds me a little bit of Jemima Kirk, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit.
I see that. Two more. Haley Baldwin. Pretty classic, just been the wider cheeks. She's the daughter of Stephen Baldwin.
Oh, okay.
So I guess he married his Xailyyne. We'll have to look into that. Or most likely.
I guess that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that Nijai marrying Xailyyne is also not too uncommon. Like Maury Povich and Connie Chung is one example that comes to mind.
Interesting. So last one I have here is another Xailyyne. She was a little tricky just because the wideness of her face and the fullness of her lips might almost think like you're looking at like a brunette Katherine Heigl or something. But looking at lots of pictures of her, the emoting just stays localized all the time. The cheeks don't seem to move much at all.
Cool. What is Katherine Heigl?
She's Xailyyne.
Right. Okay.
But I don't believe this person is. All right. So that is what we have for additions to modeling.
Awesome. A bunch of Naiji.
Yeah, I got some Naiji in there. Any thoughts? We have a couple more minutes before we need to move on to the next topic. But what were your thoughts when you're looking at that stuff?
I'm just sort of really getting into it because of this that you brought up. Yeah, it's not something I have a lot of experience with, but I definitely find it very interesting. And the Naiji ones that you found today, or that you just showed today, are definitely really interesting, and they seem to connect a lot with actresses and music people. So
that's a good point there. That's something that I noted as well. I was surprised, actually, not like crazy surprised. I guess I just didn't really know what to expect in modeling because it's not something I've really ever covered that much in my life other than pop culture, but not like get into it. Is the riffs of Naiji I'm seeing actually seem quite serious, and able to convey a lot of sort of imaginative story and sort of tone in their looks. So it's more acting going on than I realized, and the Xailyyne seem to be casting a different spell. They all kind of do this look, which is rather similar. There's like a handful of looks that they do, and none of them involve them smiling much. it's interesting. They're like variations of not smiling a lot, like a half smile, a just vaguely dissatisfied or unimpressed smile, the flat lip, and then the pouty lip. But even the pouty lip's done like, it's done small, not big. Anyway, on that though, is that they do different things. The Xaillyne, like, I have to watch out for this. The Mojo is when the spell they have, you can kind of just project what you want onto them. They make a great canvas for that. Even though they're doing the same pose, they do that more. But the Naiji, they're doing some sort of like, it seems like an acting thing. Even though they're doing the same facial expressions, the way that the spell they hit me with is more like they're in a story and they're trying to hit you, almost like posing for a painter. And like the painter says, you're in the woods. Like some directors like directing them in a scene, you're in the woods, and now bear comes on you and you're staring at it. You're kind of turned on, kind of scared, you're kind of not sure. Give me that look. And these Naiji models, they kind of like hit that look and they hold it in it, but it's unlike acting where you continue being in the scene. They kind of like hold it. Like does that make sense? Like
so.
You know, it is, I guess what I was thinking there is it kind of reminds me a bit what you see when they're getting close-ups. I almost kind of imagine like a Nijai director talking them through of like, okay, this is what you're seeing, this is what you're feeling, blah, blah. And then they just hold their face there while the camera just zooms in slowly. That particular slice of acting, I think that is greatly expanded in modeling. Particularly the way the Naiji ladies seem to be coming at it, which they kind of get in this mood and then they hold it while the camera just click, 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 clicks away. And then I guess they're told like a little more of this, a little, but they're basically on that note and they hold it and then do slight adjustments as they're being photographed. It's quite an art form. I'm getting a much better appreciation for it now.
That's, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't even occur to me to think of it that deeply, but I mean, you're absolutely right.
Because I think you do see this because you've seen a lot of Naiji ladies, like you're saying, they riffed me of like a lot of serious actresses and serious music artists, which I don't know what I was expecting, but I guess I was expecting maybe a little bit. Now I'm thinking about it, maybe Naiji ladies that checked out a little bit because they're like, well, I'm good looking, so I'll just do this because I'm good looking, and then I can do what I really want with the money I make. I guess I was kind of expecting maybe a bit more of that, but they seem to be doing, a lot of them seem to be doing something else. A kind of art form that I'm appreciating it more now. Cool. Any closing thoughts before we move on to music?
No, that's really good. That gives me a lot to think about. Actually, none of that stuff had occurred to me, so I'll definitely have to look more into it.
Cool beans. All right, so now on to music. Of course, obviously, sad day in music today. You heard it right.
Why's that?
Prince died.
Prince died. Oh man.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm first. I'm telling you, I'm so sorry. I would have tried to be a little smoother about it if I knew. But yeah, that happened.
Oh wow.
Yeah, pretty heavy. Big loss.
He's gone wherever the greats go.
Exactly. We'll feel that loss keenly, but that's the greatness moving on. All right, here we go. Let me know. Screen share now. You see it?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. So, interesting ones here today. A Xailyyne. So,
cool. I think I requested this one, right?
I believe so. So it's always good to get more Xailyyne because we don't have nearly enough of them. Her. She kind of riffs a few different Xailyyne music artists. A little Queen Latifah, a little someone else I can't place the name of right now. This is a Xailyyne. Very slinky though. I do a double take, make sure it doesn't look like a Naiji or something. She's got a lot of Nai going on, especially you can see in that right photo.
Yeah, I can see.
Very, very feral feline looking at her. She's giving some Nai there. That look right there, she's like, what am I looking at her here? But I believe that's modulation, but she's doing it quite easily. I don't know her at all, but she looks like she has some interesting development. Definitely some pronounced Nai.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I requested that one. Maybe.
Here's another one. Yeah, these are kind of like all the music ones I have. Some will be yours and some will be other stuff. I try to make sure I get at least half yours. Do you know this person at all?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
She pops right away.
Oh yeah, I requested her. She's a pop artist, and yeah, like Vijay pops right away.
Yeah. Yeah, not familiar with her, but boom, yeah, pretty classic. All right, Xailyyne, Frankie Bridge.
Yeah, another pop artist, pretty classic. Xailyyne, I would say.
Yeah. Not so much at least immediately apparent as the other one. You can see the
Right.
to be a bit more, a little more doe-eyed looking.
Yeah, yeah.
Although it doesn't look like she has, poor eye, just not as much of a riff that direction maybe as the other one. The other one looked more slinky, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But this one's more classic. The other one's more
Not heavy.
Not heavy, I guess. Yeah.
Or something, yeah. But actually, we studied more to know for sure. All right, Bijay Allybrook, classic.
Yep. I think she's another pop artist. Not finding her.
Something very interesting, though. I mean, it takes time to develop the artistic appreciation of Mojo rating. It's never ending, but it's fascinating as the layers kind of get there. Like, earlier there was more of a focus, like say telling apart a Vijay from a Nijay with the eyes, because the eyes are, I'd say, the most apparent. But if you look at enough Vijay and enough Nijay, at least the ladies, because we don't have that for the guy situation yet, we will. But at least for ladies, you look at enough of them, there's this distinct difference. The next one, I think, easiest is the lips. Kind of like the Naji and Vaji, they just look different. They have more of this, I don't know, like this Snapchat look. I mean, people actually talk about these duck lip look, but when they mention it, they often talk about these Vijay models who like mastered the art of posing. And they have a certain kind of lips. And I think a lot of people actually try to do what they do, but actually I think it's a Mojo thing. They have this texture to them and the way they move, which is interesting. The Nijai are very similar. It's not as smooth. There's more of a quiver in the lip tensioning of the Nijai. And then the other difference is just the overall skin, which kind of pops mostly to me in the cheek area. They both have Jai in the cheeks, but theirs is just more smooth and fleshy and less, I don't know if it's the right word. I'm just feeling around this kind of new area, but tremulous. They're yin, but not as yin as the Nijai. I was like, what is it? There's a slight more tremulous quality to the lips and to the cheeks. I guess it might look a little more neurotic to some. It might look a little more quick-minded or agile-minded to others. Do you mean that quivery quality?
Okay, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean the Vijay are more. They seem more grounded. It's more steady.
And Linda comes out in like the actual the cheeks, the lips themselves. That quality they have. It's fascinating.
It's cool that you can see that. I mean, for me, it's just a vague, just a vague feeling. But it's cool that you can
like the eyes. Since the eyes are like straight V, that's what we usually talk about because that's easier to tell. Clear laser versus the more diffuse dancing is a lot easier. But it's fascinating if you look at it. The mouth is Jai. The primary energy you're getting off the mouth is Jai, but there is a subtle infusion in that of V. That takes a lot of time to see that, but it does. And then the cheeks as well, which are Jai, but not as strong as the mouth area. They're harder to see, but there is still a little knee in them. That's cool. I don't know one of the joys as you keep Mojoing is that there's always these little layers, and you're like, wow, that was always there, but my lens had not dialed into that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm figuring that out with music, and I'm being able to pick out things like that in more detail, like the Xi and V details that you're describing are like, it's a lot of Xi and V, I think, to pick up on that kind of stuff.
It can be. There's also like Z and Vi, we write that the Z and Vi, for example, I'm getting that with working with Xailyyne on the couples and family, Mojo and couples and families. There's a lot of statistics for that, which like, I guess maybe if the EFZ constantly would occur to you sooner, but like for me, I actually have to like see that. I'm like, oh, that's the percentage of that. That's how many we have of those. And like, I have these epiphanies from Z and Vi.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They're like statistics. You hear this is more like a visceral kind of naturalistic observation epiphanies. For me, what you're talking about, like correlation to you would be my Z and Vi. They're like usually statistical analysis epiphanies. And for me, that's like out of nowhere. Like what? It's really cool when it happens.
Yeah, that stuff just comes more naturally to me, actually.
Yeah, I noticed that in our music collaboration that becomes more real when you do your patterns strongly and you're feeling it with your Xai. That next part comes up fairly naturally for you because it is conscious modulation. For me, I'm like, oh what? Oh yeah, that is part of like, oh you're right, that is part of things. I wasn't going to get to that for a while in my pathway. It's cool. That's one thing about collaborations that way is you can get to things faster than you would just on your own peak pathway.
For sure.
Sorry, I went off, but you know are doing music and we're talking music, so it's fun. All right, these did not have the best media. They seem pretty classic to me. Indie Naiji. It is interesting to notice the difference between the indie Naiji and the pop Naiji. Just like the males, but the females as well, obviously. They kind of downplay their V a bit when they go indie.
Yeah. What pop Naiji are you thinking of?
Say again?
What pop Naiji are you thinking of?
Say Alicia Keys or even Florence Welch in a way, Celine Dion, ones like that. They tend to be a little more glossy, not like a V Xai or Xai V or anything, but they do tend to be a bit more meticulous. And so the V here is a bit more of a rustic, folksy kind of V.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, it's
polished.
Funny. What's that?
Less polished, I guess maybe.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny that you mentioned Alicia Keys, Florence Welch, and Celine Dion because the one thing that I think they all have in common is that they're very, very popular artists. But aside from that, they're very different. Like I wouldn't think to put them all in the same group. But it's true.
No.
That's
and I totally wouldn't put in the same group other than actually going what you said. Maybe I don't know if the chicken or the egg that they had this V awareness or desire to go mainstream, be very popular, or in the course of becoming popular, they were told this will bonus stack you. But they do share one thing in common, although they're very different in other ways, mainly the musical ways, like you're talking about, narcissistic ways. But polish, they do share a big money polish, if that makes any sense.
Well, I mean, they're sort of like a cog in a much larger machine at that point. Like they can't pick out their clothes. They can't go outside without having someone talk about what clothes they're gonna get and things like that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm sure you're right on that to some very significant degree. I was wondering if there's if it could go both ways. Like perhaps to get seen a certain way, you may adopt a certain kind of look. Do you know what I mean? For example, we're seeing that there's a lot of Naiji ladies in fashion, and they look like they're quite serious. And also, there's quite a few Naiji females in the fashion, some modeling and the fashion. So Naiji ladies do have the ability to choose to present themselves in a way that will get seen as polished. Do you know what I mean? I wonder if sometimes they might choose to, even before they get money, they might choose to present themselves in that way to be taken seriously. Or, I don't know if serious is the wrong word. That's the wrong word. Yeah, to be seen as a main tent act. For lack
right. I think I'm not sure. Like Florence Welch, for example, is a lot like the folksy indie artist that you mentioned. But
She has had she's had upgrades to her polish over the years, which is
right. Yeah, I don't know where that comes from exactly, but
that's what I'm wondering. That'd be interesting to know. I'd like to know that about their story. If they choose that, or it's put on them, or it's a combination. I don't.
I'll have to think about that, because to be honest, once they get to a certain level of popularity, like I sort of start tuning them out, because at that point it's more like it's not really them. It's like a huge machine behind them.
Gotcha.
And it's like it's not as interesting.
I see. No, I feel you on that.
So I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, I feel the way kind of like Lizzie. She's actually Nijai, but some of her more like geared to be popular on the radio stuff is not what I like. I like the stuff that she did originally, and her later stuff that is still kind of just being a little too raw and idiosyncratic to get on the radio. That's actually what I really like. So I feel you. All right, we'll jump back in, get a few more samples here. A couple more minutes. We're gonna give someone else come on here. All right, number 7. It's her sister. Be obvious. All right, number 8. Vijay. Pop.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what it was, but I briefly thought, well, to question whether she was a Xailyyne, but over time that didn't seem to be feasible, but I did consider it. This one on the other hand was Vijay. Easy. She reminds me of someone. There's some Vijay that's like well-known, more well-known than her, that reminds me of. All right, a couple more. Grace Bumbry, opera singer, Xailyyne. There are quite a few Xailyyne opera singers.
yeah.
But now I got some interesting ones here for the end. Pam, a Xailyyne opera singer. And like this look she's got going here, like the left photo, for example, I've seen so many Xailyyne female politicians in that pose. Angela Merkel, Hillary Clinton. I mean, so many of them.
Right. Cool.
It's interesting to see them with like, polished, artisan makeup on. That's cool. And one more, Xailyyne, Chantal Claret, music artist, comedian, and actress. Boom. I'll tell Demas about that one. But she looks pretty straightforward, Xailyyne. But as usual with the artistic Xailyyne, a good amount of Nye and Jai development. Has kind of a broody, pouty thing going on.
Yeah, I see that.
All right. So while we're waiting for Mitchell to come on next, any thoughts on the passing of Prince? Because that's the first you're hearing of it. I'm still processing because I just heard it today. But
yeah, wow. Yeah, I don't really know. Like he definitely did. I mean, he definitely lived a full life. Like he definitely. I don't see him like having many regrets or like having things left to do. He accomplished so much in his life. And
hey guys.
Hey Mitchell.
Let me interrupt.
No, it is your time. We were just chatting, waiting for you to come on. We were talking about the passing of Prince.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that a little bit. I didn't know about it until just now. So.
Yeah, we'll probably touch on the next time, Bruno, because that's a biggie. We'll have to kind of process that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking
about that. That was a lot of fun, Bruno, and I look forward to working more music stuff, which you're going to send over.
Yeah, I'm going to send that over now.
Nice. Yay.
Cool. See you guys.
See you Sunday. Hey there, Mitchell.
Hey.
Alrighty, so now we're moving on to our next segment, and I have with me Naiji Mitchell, a level 24 pod layer practitioner, and we're going to be doing tennis and STEM. Exciting. All right, first one is tennis. We can go through this one pretty quickly because then I want to talk a little bit more when we get into STEM one. So we'll kind of maybe do 10 and 20 instead of 15-15. All right. Let me know if you're seeing it. Now?
Now it looks like it's, yeah, see it.
First one, lies pretty straightforward. Xailyyne, Borna Korik. If you know anything about any of them, please feel free to enlighten me.
Yeah, I don't know him, but he looks pretty classic.
2, Zai V lady, because we're getting a lot of V's I think. In some
That's
of the
good
earlier
to see.
patches.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that as to why maybe there's more Vizai females.
Zai V there. A V's I. Still quite a few V's I amongst the ladies.
Yeah.
The brighter eyes, the wider smile. 4, V's I. She was a little tricky.
Yeah, I can see that actually. That was my first thought looking at her. Her face is kind of like longish.
It's longish and also kind of more voluptuous in the cheek and lips.
That's true too. Like boxy.
Yeah, boxy and voluptuous. So I had to kind of like take that in, but I have seen Vizai who have that look.
Yeah, and Vizai can have that kind of yangish face too.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
Vizai like that.
Exactly. I guess I'm just a little more used to seeing with the guys. So we'll have to update our lenses, at least me anyway.
Yeah, interesting.
Ivy, classic. But a good wideness of the cheeks. It's nice to be able to see those because those are tricky. But even those wide cheeks, they're still so long and don't come out of the lip area. 6. IV. Pretty classic. Although, when I first looked at him for a second, he reminded me a bit of some of the Z-Vi soccer players.
Yeah. He's got a lot of neutralization going on. And so it can almost be like not as easy to determine which one it is.
Definitely. And also,
his mouth's like downturned a little bit.
And also, I was going to note that the other thing was actually he's very thin-lipped.
Yeah.
And you tend to see that more Z-Vi. There's like a lot of riffs of Z-Vi that have like that very thin-lipped Xai. So this thin-lipped Xi, a little different. Looks intense. Yeah. That name's intense. Okay, I have to go for it.
Oh, Gabash.
Oh, you got it? Oh, okay. Now I'm feeling cool. you got it, Mitchell.
No, I actually got it because I think I know someone with that name.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I don't think they're related to him, but it sounds like probably like a Russian name or something. But
Can you say it again for me a little slowly?
Say what?
Can you say it again for me a little slowly?
The name?
Mm-hmm.
Gabashvili.
Thank you. And how do you say the first name?
That one I'm not sure as, but probably just Teimuraz.
Okay. Teimuraz Gabashvili?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of, around where I used to play, there are a lot of like Russian and Polish players. And so I got used to pronouncing some of those names.
Ah. Yeah, see, that's interesting. I wasn't quite sure what to make of his name. You know what I mean? The Gabash makes it sound Eastern European a bit.
Yeah, Eastern European, I should say. Yeah, all those countries.
But the Vili was throwing me. I wasn't sure if that sounded, a bit more Latin, Italian or something. Live and learn. Wow. All right, another Zai V. It's good to get some of these ladies in there. Nice long Zai cheeks there.
Yeah.
This guy was in before, but then I didn't feel I had enough media. But now that I'm getting deeper into tennis, I was able to see him a lot easier.
Interesting.
His cheeks are pretty sheer.
Yeah, he does look pretty classic, just the pictures.
9. He's eye. Got the round cheeks that I sometimes have to do a double take that I'm not seeing, jive. No, they're not jive, but like a values-based Mojo. But I believe those are actually smooth cheeks. They're just smooth, rounded cheeks. Smooth, rounded cheeks are not apple cheeks.
Yeah.
Physical energy, nice smile and bright eyes.
Yeah,
very gather right away. Oh, you're saying something?
I was just agreeing with what you're saying. I mean, hair energy it's very up, and it can be pleasing, even emotionally, when that's something I think probably the chess gather is more associated with. But
yeah, very good. Got a V's eye. That. It's interesting here because on the right, for example, she's kind of giving a nigh look of appraisal.
Yeah.
Very interesting look. We see a lot, for example, with the knees eye actresses, they'll give that look, which is actually their vi, as they like give a hard appraisal look, or a little secretive appraisal look. It's interesting, verse there.
It is interesting. I did pick that up.
Two more. Daniel, Traber, classic.
Males really Xailyyne.
Yeah, they overwhelmingly.
Yeah. Seriously.
Last one is Vizai Camilla Yorga. Yeah, she looks like a lot of Nizai actresses, but with those clear eyes. What actually been helpful with seeing these Vizai ladies, though, Mitchell, is I was just talking to Bruno about this with the Zhez gathers, but it's also the Zez gathers.
Yeah.
Is when you try to tell apart the Vizai from the Nizai, the easiest thing to look is at the eyes, because that's where the pure perception is coming out. So the V difference is easier to tell. But after you've looked at a lot of them, Nizai and Vizai, there's also that slight difference in the tensioning in the mouth. We've talked about it with the difference between a lot with Naiji and Baiji guys. That's when it comes a lot, but it comes other ones too, where you have the corollaries like that, where the mouth tensioning is different. And then even more subtle than that is in the cheeks, where just the skin of the face itself, it's just less wobbly than the knee counterpart. There's like a little bit of a very slight bobble to the lips and the overall skin, even like the various maneuvers.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it's cool because I was able to see that a lot easier, like say with the Zhez Hunter dudes, seeing so many of them in the mixed martial arts. It's cool now seeing some of these Vizai ladies, and a lot of them here in tennis, they have like a very, they're very camera aware. So there's some similarities between them and the Nizai actresses and how they style themselves and so forth. So it's cool to see the differences.
Yeah, it's like an athletic sort of modeling-ish thing.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, that ends it for the tennis. And now we'll get into the meteor section, which is the stem. All right. Yeah, not a lot of variety in the males in tennis, but nice to be able to get a good amount of Xailyyne that way.
Yeah.
All right, stem, here we go. You see it?
Yes.
Right, first up, hey Naiji, go Naiji.
Interesting.
There.
Sounds like.
That's interesting. I don't really know much about that, but it sounds very interesting.
Sounds like some kind of sustainability invention.
Yeah, that's how I imagine. All right, a Xailyyne, classic. That one on the right is just so classic.
Yeah, the forehead, like we were talking about last time, or a few times ago. They all have that. They have like this. A lot of them have that like really standout forehead.
And then the sheer cheeks, but then the delight in the eyes, the delight in the dancing eyes. It's cool. There's a lot of cool riffs of the ad serbs in these in the stem bubble. Another Xailyyne, Eric Cornell, physics. He's of the variety that has the kind of more smoother lines. Like if it was pretty easy to see that he's a Xailyyne since in general, his cues and him being in physics. But if I was to see him, say, in acting, he'd be one that I would have to really make sure I wasn't seeing a Xailyyne. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do, because he does have some crinkling in the eyes too, and that can kind of look like values.
It does. I know what you mean. And it has this just sort of very gentle, warm energy. He's doing a very good job of that with the G.
He does.
Nizai, Johann Diesenhofer. Chemistry. Pretty classic there.
Although he does look pretty classic, but like he does, it's like the chemistry. He does look like, I can't really tell exactly, but I feel like if I were to meet him in person, he would be a little bit like stiller.
Yeah, he definitely does look.
He looks like he has a lot of like Vi seriousness and stillness to him.
True. Yeah, in both of them, he's kind of got like a slight squint going on.
But the look is still classic. I mean, I can see that the eyes pop.
But he still has this sort of like naughty scientist look to him.
Yeah, he does. And a delighted, kind of laughing, kind of giddy look that he has.
Slightly bemused. Even his lips that aren't moving a lot, they look slightly bemused, particularly the one on the right.
Yeah.
Nizai, no, he looks pretty severe. He looks intense, this one.
Yeah, he does.
He's one that if I saw in a different setting, I would have to really look to make sure he wasn't a Xailyyne.
Yeah, I can totally see that. He does, because you can see the neutralization pretty strongly. He's really doing a lot of Xai.
Yeah.
Oh, and his mouth even is almost like pouty. like Xai pouty. Almost, yeah. But not Xai's not literally pouty emotionally, but it's like just.
I know what you mean, like the maneuver.
Like held there.
Definitely. He puts a lot of energy into holding it there.
And even his eyes look like they're assessing you.
Interesting. I haven't seen one yet, but I wonder in the chest bubble ever if I'll see a rip of this kind of Nizai. So far, it's been very heavily Xailyyne, then Xailyyne, and some occasional Naiji. I don't know. Like this guy looks like he would enjoy chess. You know what I mean? That's what he does.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
All right, Nizai. A lot of Nizai this time around. Nizai Daniel Carlton Gadjusik.
That's interesting. Reminds me of a few people.
Oh, what's that you're saying?
I say he looks interesting. He reminds me of a few people, but yeah, I see it.
Any more like in professors or something, or just in general?
Yeah, like some of the ones we read before, like one of the ones that requested. I think on my last quiz, the one who solved the prominent complexity theory. I can't remember his name. Laszlo Babai is his name. Looked a lot like him. I thought he was Xailyyne at the time, but now like I'm seeing because I see the rounder features and
more up energy. Yeah. He reminded me of some of comedians. Some of these comedians have this kind of look, including the glasses. All right. Another Nizai. He kind of reminds me of the last one a bit.
Yes.
A little rounded. He looks happy. Science makes this man happy.
Well, like it's quite a bit of medicine today.
Yeah. Xailyyne. He looks like he has a decent amount of Vi development, but
he does. Yeah, I can see it like in the face. It has this like knee Mojos that have a lot of Vi. They have this like this quality of their faces seems very like set in. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I've seen it in Nizai too, and Nizai.
To a degree, it can be healthy and actually very appealing. It makes them feel more reliable, but it could also go a bit much where you feel like, oh, not sure how.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It can definitely be. It's just the Vi. How far is the Vi fetishing going?
Xailyyne, Carol Greeter.
Interesting. And Xailyyne females, that is
Very interesting how the Xailyyne ladies show up a lot here, and then the adserb guys, but
Yeah.
there's not a lot of crossover to the other
Yeah,
genders.
very few adserb females.
Yeah, or
And very
adserb
few
males.
adserb males. Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know why that is. It's not just speculations, but they're not going off.
I mean, like looking at blogs and such, and just around. I mean, I've seen adserb females who are interested in science and stuff, but they don't seem to be. We haven't seen too many professionals.
Gotcha. The Nizai. He looks like he could be a comedian too. He looks very delighted.
Yeah.
There definitely is a, it's not like a firm thing, but there definitely is some trend to the Vi development versus, say, knee development, from physics to
chemistry
to medicine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I can see why that would be. I mean, like he does. I was just gonna say that. I mean, he looks like looser to me than the adserbs that you see in those other fields.
11, Nizai Theodore H, also physics. He looks like he's going to jump out of his head of excitement, that left photo. He's just happy. Knowledge! I like that. It's cool. And the last one, very classic, Xailyyne Martin Hare, mathematician. Do you know of him at all?
Not off the top of my head, no. But he sounds interesting. Have a look.
Those are the samples I had for today. But we have a few more minutes for the next person who comes on. And I wanted to throw something by you, which is, as part of what we're doing here, eventually we're going to have a collage full of these STEM people. And I'd like to fill in a bit, on their description, like some of their major contributions, like what they're about. And it'll really kind of constellate what the STEM bubble is doing. And as a part of that, there's several things that for Pod Layer and what we're about, which is, being one with where the future is going, is seeing where humans are with certain things, what the cutting edges are. So just in general, that's fascinating. And there are some that are, particular to Pod Layer's interests. It's kind of philosophy. So we talked about 3 already, I think, which is quantum mechanics. But I'd like to make an ongoing thing, and if you could ever want to bring anything to my attention or educate me, it'd be great. I would enjoy that because I love watching science shows. But basically, where they're at right now, what is it? Where's the limits that they're pushing in quantum mechanics? Then, what's the limits they're pushing in relativity? And then, what's the limits they're pushing in an omni-physics model? Not necessarily a philosophy model, but an omni-physics model. So that's kind of
like string theory is attempting and stuff like that.
Exactly. So I'm curious, what are like the pioneering grounds right now in those areas? And so I just throw a few more out to you. Face mapping. Very curious where we are. Humans are with that. Brain mapping. Gene mapping. Artificial intelligence. CGI. Network computers, you know what I mean, as opposed to the binary 1-0 computers, the new rage everyone's talking about. Basically, like a computer that has like a brain instead of 1s and 0s.
Yeah, so it was face mapping, brain mapping, then what?
Gene mapping.
Gene mapping. That's another big
Quantum mechanics, relativity, omni-physics model.
I got those.
Gotcha. Face mapping, brain mapping, gene mapping, artificial intelligence. CGI,
network computers,
biospheres, extreme living, extreme environment living. Kind of specialization of that a lot of people believe is necessary to understand, to know what space is like, because how hospitable it is. Underwater living or habitat. Terraforming. What's the cutting edge on that? How much can we terraform? Because how much we can terraform means what kind of planet range is doable for humans. Related to that, future foods. In general, just for things that would travel better or would be good for other planets, but then also just solving hunger issues. What's the latest tech on that? Travel, latest tech on travel, and particular interest on space travel, but all travel. What's the cutting edge on being able to move humans from one place to another? That's definitely something Podlair is very interested in. Internet infrastructure. How big is it? How big does it need to get? How big can it get? And what is being allowed? What are the things that are having? Because the new way of thinking needs to be a global way, and the internet is the terrain that best suits that. And different governments, I think, in time are going to start trying to, they're already doing, curtail basically this new country, internet country. I'm very interested in what actually makes it up, the hard wires, the platforms, all of it, and what could hurt it and how far can it go. Progressive / experimental education programs for children and adults. What's the latest and greatest ways for getting knowledge into people? Nanotechnology, both what it can do now, and from a lot of top scientists, they're saying that the nanotechnology is one of the things that's going to be most radically different about the future that most humans are thinking of. You know, I mean, future is always a bit different based on technology. Nanotechnology is going to make for a very different future. I'm curious on what the latest developments and speculations are there. 4 more. Longevity / vitality. Making humans live longer, and particularly for things like how would we live in outer space? How would we make in long voyages? Can you really do suspended animation like you do in the movies? How far has that gotten? Next, architecture / engineering in general, besides just habitats, just what's the upper limits of what humans can build? Bridges, launching pads, dams, what's the top humans can do? What's the top projects that are coming up? Last 2, social media platforms and applications. What's the best right now? What's projected coming up in the future? And last, robotics. What do we got now? What's coming up? How do we stop the robotic alien invasion? So anyway,
Isaac Asimov's 3 laws.
I'm sure you probably other topics come to your mind as well. They're on this general theme of, you know, being a people that are on the cutting edge of what's going on.
I'm trying to keep track of that. Yeah, that's an
I think
interesting
they're
project.
really good overarching topics for our STEM discussion, because naturally you're talking to these people. A lot of them are doing pioneering work that's going to affect this kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
do you have any ones that you think you might also want to throw in there?
That's a pretty good list. Let's mix up focusing on science. Well, science, STEM. Maybe I guess the only thing I
Go ahead, please.
if we could include maybe like mathematics, which is its own thing, and
particularly like because we will be covering mathematics for sure as a general subject matter of STEM. I'm curious what it is mathematicians are doing. This is great. You may help me. What is the consider the most important work that mathematicians are doing right now?
Well, there's quite a bit of it, but the thing is, with mathematics, often the work is very conceptual, and it takes a while to be applied. But that's often kind of a challenge with it.
But still, in the theoretical, what are some of the theoretical, maybe that's a good way of looking at it.
One thing I know, a big theoretical program that's popular, that Nizai Ed Frankel popularized, called the Langlands program. It's unifying. It's said to have potential to unify a lot of fields of mathematics. I don't remember off the top of my head. I think geometry and algebra and connections between them.
How much of an issue is it in math? I guess maybe I'm not as familiar with math as I am some of the other science. I generally, math and science is not something I went into. I got into it roundabout through my philosophical leanings, but definitely math. I'm like, I guess I imagine that there was more uniformity or connectivity in it than say, like say even physics or engineering or anything like that, because there's things that go on that you can't really explain in nature yet, and yet engineering or physics has to try to explain it, even though we don't know yet. But math, at least how it's portrayed a lot, is cleaner. But although I am
it's purer in a way because it is more isolated.
It gets messier as you get more theoretical.
Yeah, it does. And then also, I guess connected to that too would like just computability theory, complexity theory, that sort of thing. Those are mathematical field of like what is it possible for computers to do.
On that, I think that's a really good angle. I'm curious from a pod layer perspective, as far as like for people, what would you say, if you're going to try to educate someone, like are the benefits of knowing that limit, and then what are the benefits of getting up to it, scaling, being able to compute much larger and larger mathematic formulas and algorithms and so forth? What does that allow a people to do? Okay,
well, as far as knowing the limit, there is, as far as we understand it, a kind of hierarchy, although it's one of the most famous, there's a lot of famous unsolved problems in the hierarchy too, so there's a lot of work to be done, but like P versus NP can tell you just what kind of problems a computer can efficiently solve. And then there's problems beyond NP, and then questions that are just undecidable and things like that. But a problem in P is a problem that a computer can actually easily figure out the solution to, whereas a problem in NP is a problem that a computer can easily verify a solution to, but not easily figure out.
Oh, this is good. Thank you.
So there are problems that are in NP that people need to do all the time, like finding isomorphisms between graphs, or two graphs that look different but are in fact the same when they have hundreds of nodes, thousands of nodes, and all kinds of interconnections between them. It can be very difficult to determine whether they're the same or what the similarities are. And other problems like that are in NP, you can verify a solution to them, but there's not like a deterministic method to calculate it. And then within that, there's what class it's in can determine how it would be best to approach the problem.
Gotcha. Very cool. Oh, hey Ben, perfect time.
Yep.
Nice. That was very good talking, Mitch. I look forward to talking more of these topics. So anything you may learn in your travels, you doing the math that you're doing and so forth, you're probably going to be running in circles where you'll be hearing these kinds of things maybe more regularly than I would. So I look forward to anything you want to bring up on that regard.
Okay.
But I, of course, will keep watching my science shows and do what I can.
Yeah. At some point, maybe we can make a thread about it and
yes, I would like that.
Put all these up and then see if people have things to add of their own accord.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell the thread be something, basically like, where humans are at now and where they're going. You know what I mean?
All these various things. Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Very cool. Very fascinating. All right. Have a good night, Mitchell.
You too. See ya.
See ya. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Coach. How are you doing?
Politics?
Yep, ready.
Go. All right, world. I'm being joined by Xailyyne Ben, a level 24 pod layer practitioner, and we're going to be getting deep into politics stuff. I got a lot of samples to show you.
Awesome.
All right, here we go. And by the way, feel free to jump in on anything you see in the samples. And you may not know some of them, but if they just make you think of anything political or whatever, go and throw it in there. And if you just want to say anything about what's going on in the political scene with the presidential election and so forth, go ahead and throw that in as well.
Sure.
All right, so let me pull up the document. Dun, dun, dun.
I haven't really been following the news too closely, but, there's things that could come up in my head. I've been following the presidential race and so forth. So.
You're definitely more informed in that than I am, so it's always good to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, a lot of times, I'll learn about things just randomly because I spend a lot of time on Facebook. And a lot of times through social media, people will share things that are going on and so forth. And oftentimes politics comes up quite frequently. Oh, I did learn one thing. Apparently, the over the course of the past 100 years or so, roughly, in the United States, the reliability of presidential candidates to or presidents to follow through with their promises is about 67% in the United States.
That's good to know.
There's other countries that are pretty similar around that area of like 60-70%. I think like out of the those studied, like Great Britain was like the highest of like 80% or so. But it's kind of but there's a lot of things, a lot of promises made, a lot of things say, that candidates will say that they will do, but don't necessarily know if they can do oftentimes, or maybe even just won't do, or just kind of saying it, So
like building a wall that Mexico is going to pay for. That's no, you can't say that. Just because you say something doesn't make it. Yeah, okay, never mind.
Because we can always. I mean, it's like even if in his head, even if it were true that like they were likely thinking they were going to pay for it, like you should still be like. He should still be honest about how much like what the likelihood he thinks that's actually going to happen. Like candidates very often will not say, I'm going to try my hardest to make this happen. They'll say, I'm going to make this happen. And yes, it does sound like you're more confident when you say you're going to do it rather than you're going to try your best to. But true. That it's not, as far as using precise language, as far as the accuracy, well, the reliability of what you're going to say being true. As far as that's concerned, you should say what your confidence level is.
So you can't really be honest about that, apparently.
Yeah,
not in win.
Speeches are too ideological, too heavily based on what you basically saying what you believe is going to be what you're going to do, and kind of taking a very because oftentimes what comes up in politics is you have very strong beliefs. And that can be heavily associated with ideology, but what's not talked about is what happens when your beliefs are conflicted with something else, and like how you're going to handle those sort of disagreements. What compromises you're going to make. I think it'd be really nice if candidates were honest about what compromises they'd be willing to make. As opposed to, because like you should say what you really believe should happen. But you can say that and say what compromises you would make with certain groups of people who are in the system. That way you have the best of both worlds, where you both are saying what you believe should be the case, and people can make their decisions based on that. But they can also make decisions based on what you are going to compromise for certain things, what you would certain ideas that you would you would accept if it were the best option available.
Definitely,
because there's always a threshold, of certain things you just aren't going to accept or vote for, and certain things. Okay, well, I mean, I should probably take this. This is probably a good opportunity to make some ground here.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's unfortunate that the way things are now, and really in most countries throughout history. Not always. There's been exceptions here and there, but they're limited. They need obviously popularity to kind of give natural laws, built-in political. Social alchemy basically is also nature's built-in political system. If you actually have temples that represent all of that, then you basically have the political system, the natural law is already made. It's been working for quite some time. But if you don't get that, then you have the two Bi Alpha and the Z and I getting some power together. And then if you say this thing or that thing, you're going to make a bunch of money or not make a bunch of money. And it becomes we talked like, for example, one of the specials, I think it was John Oliver, that a lot of politicians spend 2/3 of their time during the year, not all year round, but during certain periods, 2/3 of their time getting the money to stay in office.
Mm-hmm.
They should be in office like doing the stuff you just said, having reasonable conversations to get things accomplished. But they can't. Their whole headspace is focused on, I won't even have this job if I don't make all this money, which is basically a whole other job. A job to make money to keep this job. It's ridiculous.
It's really, really inefficient. But people can't see how inefficient it is because they have all this money. So it's like they're the successful people, but they're not.
Exactly.
Right? So
Exactly. Alrighty, let's take a look. Boom. Can you see it?
yep, I can see it.
Right.
YZ Craig Abba. Yeah,
Which
that's
one?
the end of the dog. Xailyyne Rod. Oh,
Yeah.
were you gonna start?
No, please read them out. It'd be good if you did.
Oh, cool.
In fact, you know,
Xailyyne Rod.
I'm glad you did that. I'll actually suggest that to the other people next time that they can read it out. That'd be cool.
Okay, sure thing. Xailyyne Rod Bloom, I believe, for Blum.
Nice. They'll take turns. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Right. Baiji Earl Blumenauer. I don't know what's with that bow tie, but there's like a certain riff. And I've seen it actually in both the Republican and the Democratic Party, but there's like this like dandy riff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they tend to have like little knee sparkling eyes and bust out the bow tie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I was gonna say he does have a lot of knee.
Yeah,
It's kind of
looks
very like it's classy, but it's kind of like very open-minded, very different, unique kind of.
Yeah, kind of fun.
Yeah, fun. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, this one's you.
Vaiji Suzanne Bonamisi.
Sounds right. Michi or Michi, I'm not sure, but yeah, Baiji. We always need more of them.
Yep, Vaiji Lees. How many do we have approximately?
I think before we started this, it was not a lot. Maybe it's somewhere between like 50 and 65 or something like that.
Oh
Maybe.
wow! That's
There's
wow.
a huge.
We're really adding numbers here.
No, we are. This is very, very, very valuable. No, because the dudes, we still need some more Baiji guys to get over 1,000, but they're up there. They're like
yeah.
800
There's
or
enough
something.
of them in politics and business, so those will be pretty easy. But you said 65 ladies, roughly.
I'm just I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it's under 100. So a lot of
So this is really important for
important.
the females.
Do important work. Xailyyne, Kevin Brady. He kind of reminds me of like some of the generals I've seen.
Oh yeah, I can see that. He's got that kind of very stern kind of look.
Yeah, his bracing qualities is a little more obvious. Some of the Xailyyne politician dudes are a bit more, and ladies, they're more like affable looking. Not that he doesn't look like he can't be affable, but he looks a little more obviously bracing.
Yeah. Especially get that on the right because and the one on the left he's kind of doing the emoting is a little more emphasized.
Yeah, it's true. Here you go. Oh, that's off. Sorry.
Oh, he's Xailyyne. Yeah, he does kind of look like that makes sense.
That's a power. Boom.
Yeah, he's got that very full pilot face. Is it my turn? Xailyyne Robert Brady.
Yeah, very little emoting range there.
Yeah, you can see he's doing it, but it's not going up into the cheeks.
Yeah, sometimes they have this. When I first saw him, I was like, I saw the Z right away, but his eyes were kind of like squinty.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's just because he's a politician.
Yeah, and his face is. It's very like kind of big and blocky, but it's kind of. It can't. I can see how it could be seen as hunterish because his eyes are like further down the face. That sometimes throws me off too. Like if there's not much distance between the mouth and the eyes, that can be kind of.
Definitely. And something about the way his face is wrinkled a bit too. It's a little more hangdoggy, a little on the left anyway.
Yeah.
And sometimes the Vice have that look. Alrighty, here we go. Vice Jim Bridenstine. He reminds me of a quarterback.
Yeah, I get that. He's got very round, kind of boyish looking face.
He does. That's made me think of the quarterback. He has a kind of like young, boyish, very upbeat, lot of knee.
Yeah.
All right, this one's you.
Oh wow, this is a Xailyyne Mo Brooks, and he has a very thin looking face.
He does.
I probably could confuse him for like a Viz.
But I had him when I first was doing a quick read. I put him down as Viz, but it was after looking at more pictures.
Oh yeah.
maybe I should find a try better. The one on the left is easier to see. And if you see him in interviews and other pictures, he has this look more often.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see
this one here is the more lean one, and I picked it because it was one that showed him doing a decent amount of emoting as a contrast. That's why I went for it.
Mm-hmm.
This one is me, Xailyyne Susan Brooks. She looks very happy to be a politician.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can be that happy about that job, but I'm glad someone can do it. All right, this one's you.
Xailyyne, Kate Brown.
Also quite upbeat.
Yeah, she has good knee.
What I noticed though is that there's
and also she's very smiley. You know, you can see the.
And politicians often can be smiley in general, but one thing I've noticed is not this smiley. I've noticed that the females get a little more smiley than the dudes do.
Yeah, that makes sense. The dudes are supposed to be like cooler and seem more analytical, right?
Yeah. Is this me? It's me.
I think so, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm doing evens. Xailyyne Julia Brownlee. That's a very rare one, a Xailyyne.
Oh yeah. We have even less Xailyyne females, right?
We have like a dozen maybe.
Yeah. Wow.
That's one of our smallest.
Yeah. Politics is like a gold mine as far like when we find women in politics.
Yeah, exactly. Women in politics is a gold mine.
Yeah.
All right, here you go.
Xailyyne Bob Buckhorn.
Mayor of Tampa. Very smiley, but it does not come out of that lip area.
Yeah. Yeah, with him, I feel like I can really see the helmet of bracing.
This one, his power head came out right away, but he had this kind of sleepy quality that I had to like look at for a while to make sure he wasn't a Xailyyne.
Oh, yeah.
Although his blockiness is pretty apparent.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to watch that though, these politicians, because the Xi Alpha tend to have the power head.
Yeah. It's definitely tricky. I feel like the eyes and the picture on the left kind of help.
Yeah.
Like when I look at the eyes, look at the mouth, it looks very like. It looks much more Z Alpha to me. The one on the right's more confusing to me though because it's he's annoying more and kind of squinting his eyes more and
Exactly.
With the left picture on the left, he's kind of like it's concerned about annoying, but it feels like it's more animated.
Looks more natural too.
Yeah.
He's holding a lot on the right one.
Mm-hmm.
Good observation. All right, this one's you.
Xailyyne Cherry Bustos.
Nice, more Xailyyne ladies, and she's very smiley.
Yep.
Xailyyne. Oh, yes, that's me. Xailyyne Bradley Byrne. Kind of looks like a general.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of see the picture on the left. His mouth is kind of, I'm not sure how to describe it, but it looks very, it's very localized, but kind of, I don't know. He kind of looks like George W. Like he has that George W. Bush look.
I know what you mean. It's not as localized as Xailyyne, but having the Vi added to it, it has this more, I don't know, grim look to it or serious something.
Yeah.
Hey, Xailyyne.
Hey.
I know Xailyyne can kind of seem more like pointy because of the Vi with the Z. It's like despite Xailyyne being having more like
That's a good point.
Overall more like kind of dominant yang energy overall. Like Xailyyne can kind of seem more pointy and prickly, I guess.
Yeah,
kind of.
I know exactly what you mean. Pointy and kind of like penetrating, like locking on.
Yeah,
and it's not very yang in that way. Maybe we're more sensitive to that because we're hunters as well. But like this guy here, that you're going to do, he has a lot of yang energy, more yang energy than say a Xailyyne is going to have overall. But there's this not say buoyancy, but up energy. There's more stimulus register.
Yeah.
It just seems, I don't know.
It seems like the yangness comes more from like the fullness from the upfront animated V and Z.
Yeah, as a part of that, it seems a bit more like spread out, which is weird.
Yeah, spread out too. Yeah, like
there's more of it, but it being spread out somehow, it hits me different than you're right. That penetrating yangness of the hunter. That's a good observation. I don't look for that more when I'm distinguishing them, because there's quite a lot with distinguishing those two in politics and military. Do you want to read this guy out?
Oh yeah, sure. Xailyyne Ken Calvert. Yeah, Xailyyne, like when they hit you, they're kind of more like hammers, and like Viz are kind of more like, I guess, more like swords or daggers, I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Not to get too violent or anything.
No, but it's a worthy analogy, because we are talking about, you know, the forward powers of a directive, and you're not even talking necessarily about being violent, because actually when you said it, I wasn't thinking violent. I was actually thinking a workshop.
Oh yeah.
A hammer versus a spike, and both are used a lot in, say, metalworking. And overall, if you're like to measure the damage, the damage total is going to be bigger for the hammer. It's heavier, it has a bigger surface area. But there's a particular special kind of damage that the spike does that the hammer can't do. And that way it's stronger, because it's very, very concentrated where the force goes in.
Yeah, it's very like penetrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess hunters, that kind of stands out to me. I guess because they're like hunters, they're so different than us. In some ways, I find the Viz a bit more like it could be challenging to figure out where to start with them. Do you know what I mean? They're less yang, and they're not forward. But the yangness they do have, it's so particular to their worldview, which gives it its spikiness. They're very much like, this is the way I'm going.
Yeah.
But obviously it can go both ways. Xailyyne, lowest caps. And obviously these are things that may not apply to everyone, but us being IG, maybe we, you know, for our Mojo reading, that's kind of how we read it.
Yeah. I think so. There's probably some that's like universal and some that's more like unique. Like out of most like high level insights.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I feel like.
So maybe for everyone, the hammer and the spike analogy would be relevant. So that would be the universal. But then each Mojo is particular. Maybe for us, like say being hunters, just say that right there, being hunters, that the spiky energy kind of stands out a bit more in a way.
Yeah, I think so.
Or hits us harder in a way.
Yeah. I definitely. Yeah.
Oh, you're up. This one.
Oh yeah. Vaiji John Carney Jr. Yeah, it's interesting because like Z and I have Nye, so in certain ways that can make them a little easier to read for us because we're closer to them in terms of powers. But as far as being hunters, we as far as reading that those like the subjective directive energy fields together, I mean that is more something we're more attuned to, I think. Is it generally true that the closer in terms of like when you're talking about like an energy field, you're gonna have more familiarity with what's closer to your own, and also like inspiration as well. Like so closer to jazz is going to be easier for you.
Definitely, both familiarity and comfortability, and you can improve the comfortability to a degree by increasing familiarity. You know what I mean? So having more good experiences by Z, that's gonna make you more familiar with their wonderfulness, and then that makes a higher comfort level. It just takes, it's harder to kind of see that. You know, for us, obviously, if you look at the Xailyyne, as you mentioned, we can connect immediately on the Nye. We can try to start a Nye conversation or a Nye way of dealing with them, and we both do get momentum from that. Obviously, there's a lot of differences there, but there's also a lot of similarities. And then say the other is by G. A lot of differences, but we can track on G together. Do you know what I mean? We can actually like approach them in a G capacity. But then with the Viz, that would be tricky because, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we tend to talk about, I guess, I mean, we talk about the Vi a lot, and that has relationship to 9, that's a worldview power. And then we talk about the Ni a lot, you know, and that has a relationship to Nai because it inspires Nai. And we talk about Xai, and, you know, that inspires Xi. We talk about Z, which is kind of sort of in between everything. It has relationship to Xi, and that's dynamics and group power. So right. It's not exactly, there's less general familiarity, I think.
Less immediate common ground as far as how something would be mutually advantageous.
If
there's like a Nai advantage, if you could explain it to a Z Nai, their Nai is like, oh, that's a Nai advantage. We can share that together immediately. Mm-hmm. And then the by Xi, we're like, ooh, I see a Xi advantage. They're like, okay, I see that too. We can do that Xi advantage together. The by Z, you can still find it too, but that would be one of the further ones for us, obviously, to find that, you know, mutual advantage for one another. But it's there. Social alchemy has mutual advantage for every relationship.
Yeah.
This is good though.
I think I don't think we said his Mojo or his name rather.
I think you did.
Okay.
I think we just did a while ago maybe.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Let's go back. Make sure though. Go ahead, say it out.
Okay, sure. Vaiji John C. Carney Jr. Yeah, I think I might have. I just forgot.
I think because, you know, I was wondering when you said it, I was wondering if, you know, as sometimes happens in these political families, I wonder if there's like a John C. Carney, not Jr., just John C. Carney, or just John Carney, who's like in politics years ago. That was like his dad or something. I don't know.
Could be.
We'll see. All right, Xenai John Carter, not of Mars. So kind of, let's keep on trucking then. This was yours.
Vaji Matt Cartwright.
He was tricky for me. I had to look at him for a while to make sure he was like a Vi Z, because he's got some serious Xi G mouth wrestling going on that he has all the time. Makes his mouth do this weird stuff. Has some weird tension on it.
It's interesting. I've seen Vaji with that kind of look before. It's kind of like, it's weird, but it's like, it's kind of like a snarl almost. Like,
yes, like a perma snarl. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, I saw him doing some speeches and some interviews. He's effective in communicating, so it's kind of like his thing. So rock on, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Vaji Kathy Castor. Vaji lady, racking them up here, Ben.
Yeah.
Nice. Is you?
Vaji Steve Shabbat.
Yeah. He was tricky because he had a big head.
Yeah.
And a lot of Xi.
Yeah, it's interesting. He kind of has like a Donald Trump face, despite being a Vaji. Yeah.
Just so you know, when I first saw him, and I was just going through like quickly, like saying like I was likely saying, is he this? He's that. I actually was like, he might be a Xenai. But I looked into him, it didn't pan out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Tweakings. So different bubbles had different challenges. Distinguishing all these power heads is going to be a big part.
The vast majority of them have big heads.
They do. It's funny. IG Judy Chu.
No, she looks really cool.
She does, right? She's cool, isn't she? I don't know anything about her, but she looks like she's got some good development. See a lot of knee in her eyes.
Yeah. And again, she's very smiley.
Last two. Yours.
Vaji Catherine Clark.
Nice. It's really good to get these Vaji ladies in here. And last one. Well, that's classic. Xenai William Lacey Clay. That is.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like a trumpet.
Boom. All right. That's 24 we added to the bubble. Nice. So we have a few minutes before Xailyyne's going to jump in. You'll jump in at 7:30?
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want to
do you want to do it here?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're actually in studio. There's no reason to do it that way. So just do it right here.
Okay.
All right, cool. But do you know where things are with the presidential race?
Oh yeah, yeah. Something happened earlier this week on Tuesday. Donald Trump won 89 out of the 95 delegates in New York. And next week, there's actually going to be 5 states that vote on Tuesday. And Donald Trump is also doing surprisingly well in the polls in those states. So, like, he was, like, prior to all this, he was considerably behind his pace to get the delegates he needs to win the nomination outright on the first ballot before stuff starts getting crazy at the convention. But after New York and after these states, it looks like it's going to become really close again, to where it really could go either way. It's like 50-50, like whether he can clinch the nomination or not. And that really matters, because if he doesn't clinch the nomination, then what happens is a lot of the delegates that are going to be voting, they are going to become unbound, which means they aren't going to many delegates aren't going to be voting based on what the people elected them to vote for, and something that's really important is that these delegates, the data that we've seen so far seems to show that these delegates are very heavily favored towards Ted Cruz. So if they go to a contested convention and Trump can't get a majority on the first ballot, then another round of voting is going to happen. If nobody can get a majority, then even more delegates are going to get unbound. And I think what's going to happen then is if Trump can't seal a nomination, Ted Cruz is just eventually going to win by one of those rounds of voting, because they're just more favored towards him than Trump.
Interesting.
So
yeah, but Trump has seemed to really tap into, it's really unfortunate, but kind of like the power of the ignorant base.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, the frustrated ignorance. That's how he's tapped into frustrated ignorance, because he says stuff and people ask, like, why do you like him? Because first of all, he's clearly a jackass. That's
yeah.
pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So people ask Trump supporters, like, he's kind of an ass. Why do you like him? And the response is, they have all kinds of responses, but there's one theme that seems to be the most prevalent. He speaks his mind.
Yeah. But
he doesn't say anything that makes any sense, and the things he does say that may make some sense as far as they're coherent, they're never going to be achievable in any human's lifetime. So how does that? I'm like, what kind of people? These people obviously would be Pod Larry would just have to wait for them,
Yeah.
Go through many detoxing, because for that argument to work on you, the stuff he says, it's just stupid. But then
he's like a massive troll that, like, some people more or less believe, and the rest, are at least partially just like are saying, like, fuck you to everything that has to do with politics,
Exactly.
Because, like, people, like, in America are so, like, they're very, very apathetic towards the political system, and I see good reason to be. But the way that you answer that, the way that you solve that, is not through trolling the system,
Right.
Like, that's the exact opposite of what you should be doing. You should use that energy, you feel about apathy and the anger that you have towards the current situation, to change the current situation for what constructively for the better. And there's plenty of ways to do that.
Definitely. And this is something that Xailyyne, for example, have to really focus on as part of our whole life trajectory, which is, we're going to get frustrated a lot. We're going to have a lot of dissatisfaction. We're going to get angry.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make sure it is productive. And as a part of that it makes you smarter. There's a kind of being upset that makes you smarter, but there's another kind of being upset that makes you stupider. And
Yeah.
Trump has sort of like found a way to, like, bring all the people who are angry, but angry that makes you stupid, and, like, get them to follow him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sad. So the right thing to do is actually, I think people, unfortunately, when they feel very disempowered, they look to a strong person who seems strong. And that's been throughout human history. And that's how a lot of troll leaders have been in charge for a while is because people are like, we need someone to fix it. We'll take anyone who will just fix it. Oh, that's a bad spell to say. You don't want to see what well that will summon, but we're seeing it. They'll summon a Trump. A Trump demon.
It's just like he's such a like, and honestly, I'm not even sure like the biggest. I think another thing people don't realize about him is that it's like it's not really about his policies, you know, because his policies are largely, you know, for the most part, nobody knows what the hell he's going to do, you know. He's going to try, you know, say, oh, I'm going to, you know, get Mexico to do this. And, you know, everyone knows that's not going to work. You know, the things that he is, you know, he is very diligently, you know, saying for the most part are things he isn't going to do. What the issue, the biggest issue I have with this guy is that he's effectively leading, he's effectively campaigning to be the leader of our country, and that leader is a role model and someone that people are like children are supposed to look up to as a noble person who deserves their spot of leadership. So if you're a leader of the country, you have an insane amount of power over people, over your message, over what you say, and over what your following is. So if that person is elected into the highest office in this country, then the people within this country are going to become much stupider than they were before. Like, and are going to become much more hateful and ignorant. And I just think that most stupid. You know, and they already, I think they already have been, just by how like influential he's been over this entire process so far.
There is one upside, and we'll kind of end on this note. But the upside is, in the long term, this isn't going to work for the reasons you stated and others. It's unacceptable. He's an embarrassment. And people, when they calm down from their anger, it's kind of like they actually stop being drunk and they realize what he said last night was horrific and they need to apologize. Yeah. And that's why the Republican Party does not want him to win. Even though he's tapping into the base, they also tap into. He's like, dude, you cannot tap into it that obviously. You can't just say, we hate other races and we don't want them here. Obviously, there is some of that built into us because the Republican Party has more racists in general than the Democratic Party. But you're not supposed to say, like all Republicans know, you don't say that. You don't say anything that like lets everyone know in on the thing. So he's kind of like selling all the secrets of how they run their stuff and just burning it.
Yeah.
You mean like I don't care. I'm going to get money. I'm going to get ahead. But in the process, everyone will now know that that's what the Republicans have been selling to their base. Like the amount of success he's had is really embarrassing because that is a large part of the Republican base. The ones that are so ugly that they don't mind. Apparently, there's a lot of them. The Republicans always said the amount of them was very few. Not according to these numbers, not according to the poll numbers. Poll numbers say that actually there are quite a few racists.
Yeah, it's definitely, he's definitely really making the flaws like of many of a large portion of the American public very obvious and very well known, and in making it very clear, you know, a lot of the supporters that you know what they stand for.
It's not a small extremist group somewhere in the Republican Party. It's most of it. These numbers say it is most of the party. Not all of it, but like half or more to get these.
It's like.
I'm sorry, Ben. We have to get going because I have to make sure I respect Xailyyne's time.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, we're like 6 minutes over.
But this is a great conversation. We'll pick it up next time.
For sure, definitely. It's been great, Xailyyne and Coach. I hope you both have a great night.
We will. You too. Had a lot of fun, Ben. A lot of fun. All righty. So we're now moving on to the last segment of the evening, and I have with me a special guest, Xailyyne, Xailyyne, a level 34 pod layer practitioner. And we're going to be talking about MMA, particularly the Ultimate Fighter, and what's the other one we're going to do? It's good. No, families. We're going to do Mojos and families, a new collage style I haven't done before, which is putting families together. So
nice.
I have some fun stuff to show you and the world.
Sweet.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Yay. Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Yay. All right. Always a pleasure. So first one, let's look at the Ultimate Fighter stuff. That is in the MMA bubble. Okay.
I want to share that.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so sharing that with the world. Here we go. The season premiere of The Ultimate Fighter season 23 happened last night.
Yeah.
And me and Xailyyne are, of course,
It was
hooked.
very exciting.
Was indeed.
A lot of great fighters.
A lot of great.
This, and starting with the two coaches.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to say real quick
Yeah.
who they are?
So we have Baiji Johanna de Jedrick, and we have Xailyyne Claudia Gadelha.
And interesting is that the champion, Joanna, she has skill-wise and psychologically and performance-wise just been head and shoulders above everyone that she's gone against.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Claudia Gadelha, which I'm very, very excited about, is that they had a fight before where she won the title. I think it is, I'm sure, but they had a fight before,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a very close split decision that a lot of people think that Claudia won.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times in psychological warfare is that Joanna uses like her track record, what she can do versus them, is like a Baiji journalism, like you can't think you're going to win, not with this, this, and this. But Claudia's performance is a very good, on record as being definitely an extreme threat, and some would say that she actually won.
Yeah, it was very close, and she did some visible damage to Joanna de Jedrick's face with punches, and that's something that usually doesn't happen with to Joanna because she's so good at keeping the distance and being the one who was precise and
Controlling the fight.
controlling the fight. Yeah.
Just starts taking the person down, apart.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. So on that, it's always fascinating to see kind of the psychological warfare that is part of the MMA. But in this case, it's extra when you get to see on the Ultimate Fighter between the coaches, where if the coaches are of the variety, not always, but sometimes they are the variety. A lot of times there's feuds, which is interesting in its own way because of the drama. And they have a feud, so there's that as well. But there's also psychological warfare going on. It's very interesting to see beyond the normal press tour,
Mm-hmm.
to see them for weeks stuck around each other, to see how that psychological warfare will play out under this kind of grind. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Kind of like your work, you're like handling a certain employee or a certain person. It's one thing for one phone call or one meeting, or but then to be like, say, on a project where you may be with them and you're working closely for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
That's different.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find different tactics to make that
to
work.
deal with it. Yeah. So you could see like yesterday when they first met each other, there was that electricity and that like tension and awkwardness of like, okay.
They're oddly polite.
Yeah.
You're like, this is. They both. They're like, we all know. They know. We know this will not last. But they were fairly polite.
Yeah, they were. They were.
But it was crackly.
It was
Energy.
crackly.
All right. So let's get into the people around there. So the interesting thing is, thank you. Appreciate it. The interesting thing is, the coaches are Baiji and Xailyyne, and often, with the fighters, you see a lot of Xi Mojos, Xailyyne, Naiji, Baiji. And that is same with the females as well. But this season, a lot of Xailyyne. Mm-hmm. So this is Xailyyne here, but she's actually one of the rare ones. We'll take turns. Do you want to read out and take odds? I'll take evens.
Yeah. So this is Xailyyne Jody Escabel.
And with her, she did not win. So actually, she will not be continuing on, although maybe she'll get in if someone gets injured. But she still had media, so I did her. Mm-hmm. She's with Naiji Keith Jardine.
That's right, and she is friends with Xailyyne Holly Holmes.
That's right. That's right.
For many years. She's also in New Mexico.
Wow, connections. All right, next up, several Xailyyne. Xailyyne Ashley Cummings. And pretty classic there with the cheeks.
Yeah.
A lot of sheerness.
Yeah.
All right.
See that.
And she win?
She did.
Okay. So we see more of her. So I got all that I could. All right.
Xailyyne Ashley Yoder.
I don't know if she won or not.
She did, but it was that contested decision where she ended up. Everyone believed that the other fighter was actually the one who won it because she had done more damage, and I think she had taken her down. But
Was it her?
yeah,
Was it the one who lost?
yeah, it was. It was
Xailyyne.
the one who just went over Ashley, I think. Yeah. Or so.
All right, number 4. Xailyyne, JJ Aldrich, pretty classic there. Anvil, lots of Anvil.
Yeah.
And she won, so we see more of her.
Yeah.
All right, Xailyyne, yours.
This is Xailyyne Tatiana Suarez, and she also won her fight, and she was actually the first pick of the night when they picked the team members. Because Claudia Gadella said that she showed a lot of personality in her fight.
She did. Was very dominant.
Yeah, she had excellent, she had a lot of strength, like to pull the other opponent up and up in the air, and sort of like flip her. Because usually you see that more with men who are over 200 pounds,
right,
that they do that maneuver a lot more. But she did it.
Yeah, and also she came in mentally very strong. Like she knew, and like her strategy, she knew exactly what she wanted to do, and she wasted no time and just implemented it.
Yeah, and she said the personal story there was that she had battled thyroid cancer, and that gave her a lot of fortitude and appreciation for her life.
I like them to give them an interesting story a lot.
Yep.
So interesting season. On this one thing, so you mentioned the picking of the teams, is it's going to be very interesting to see a Baiji coach and a Xailyyne coach with ladies, where the females that they're coaching are predominantly Xailyyne. I think maybe out of the 16, no, there's going to be 8 ladies in there now. There's 16 came in that they fought, and now there's going to be just 8 because they're mixing 8 girls and 8 guys. I think there's 2 Xailyyne, and no, I think they maybe 1 Xailyyne. Yeah, I think 1 Xailyyne, 1 Baiji, and like 6 Xailyyne, something like that. So
yeah.
I'm interested to see how the G coaches coach Z. Obviously, I mean, they know their craft, so they'll technically be there. But I mean, as far as the way you adjust, because every student you teach a little differently, and their personality is a lot to that.
Right.
So I'm curious how that will go.
How that works.
Next up, Jamie Moyle. I believe she won.
Yeah, she
Xailyyne, Jamie Moyle. This one's you, Xailyyne.
This is Xailyyne Amy Montenegro, and she did not go through, but she did. She was a tough fight.
Tough fight, but yeah.
Yeah.
Xailyyne, Helen. Is this one to beat her? Oh, I get it.
I'm not sure, but she did this one. She did make it through.
Gotcha. So start popping after us more, I think, as we watch more of the season.
Yeah.
All right, this is you.
Okay, Xailyyne Lanchena Green, who's part Thai, and she has a cool, like, British accent.
She has really cool energy.
Yeah, she does
Very
have very
sparkly.
cool, very sparkly, and she did win.
Yep. So we see more
So
of her
we
as
see
well.
more.
Nice. It's very exciting.
Yeah,
We're curious who has this season.
for sure.
Because also the female strawweights, which is the 115-pound class, that's a new class to the UFC. So it's a growing division. So it's
Very
exciting.
exciting.
Very exciting. It's one of the things I like about watching the UFC is that it's such a new sport. There's all these new developments that are like, oh, this will now be a thing forever in the future. They'll be like, on the 115 weight class for women, like that'll be like, oh, that's just a thing. But there was a time where that didn't exist.
Yeah, that didn't exist. Yeah.
And Baiji, Irene Cabello. Did she win?
I don't recall.
Let's see. All right, and I have one more bonus for us.
Ooh.
there was someone named Christy Lopez who was on the show, and I went up and looked up Christy Lopez MMA, but that person on the show had so little media that she didn't show up. But there was actually another Christy Lopez at MMA,
Oh, really?
and she's a VZI.
Oh, interesting. That's very interesting.
So it's really random. So
Oh.
she's on the show, but
Yeah,
but she's an MMA fighter.
yeah,
I mean, looks like a VZI model, but
yeah. She does. She does look like a design model.
now she does obviously a lot of pin-up kind of stuff because she's very attractive,
Sure.
but she is a fighter.
Yeah. Ah,
VZI,
excellent.
Christy Lopez.
Excellent fight.
All right. So, any thoughts, Xailyyne, about the Ultimate Fighter MMA in general before we head on?
Well, I'm there in Ultimate Fighter or UFC in general.
Anything really? Anything.
Okay. Well, just in terms of the UFC, there have been a lot of changes lately with the first Ronda Rousey losing to Holly Holmes, and that was a big shock. Then Holly Holmes then losing to Miesha Tate. She was like being touted as a new champion. Then she lost to Miesha Tate, so now that puts things in question there, because now what happens? Does Miesha then fight Ronda Rousey? And I think that's the one that they're going to pair up next, even though Holly Holmes wanted to fight Ronda. Dana didn't, I guess didn't go along with that.
I think he's angry because she took the fight with Miesha. He wanted to wait for Ronda.
Yeah, and then she lost, so it kind of took away the her cachet, or decreased it at least. And then the guys, there's there's a lot.
In 205.
Conor McGregor.
Oh goodness.
Him.
Oh, that's a whole
him,
thing. He's saying he's going to retire. And
Yeah.
this whole drama now going on. I'm curious what's going to develop with that.
Yeah.
Because the next fight with him was going to be a huge major thing, and they were already promoting it, and now he's.
Yeah. Well, he lost. I mean, the fact that he lost to Nate Diaz, and he was like, touting himself or branding himself as someone who was like invincible and was going to win in all weight classes. So that right there, like, was a big blow. And then I guess I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but leading to his announcing his retirement now. So it's
But now I say he's not retired.
Mhm.
So we'll see what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
we don't know
Exciting times.
We don't know what's going on. But the two prevalent theories are that basically he was jostling with Dana as a power play to get more money, and Dana didn't want that to be like that, so he's pushing back now. Another theory is that quick conspiracy theory that there's performance enhancing in drugs, and that Conor is afraid he won't make the drug test, so he's trying to dodge it for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
So some say that. More people say that he's just doing it to leverage for more money. So we shall see.
Shall see.
All right, on to families.
Sounds great.
All right, so I just put a few together, just put 10 families together. She and I keep making a list, so we'll just keep adding some here each week.
Excellent.
All right, so all right,
Sure.
yes. And so first up we have, you want to go by the family?
Yes.
You take one family, I take one family?
Sure. So these are the Sheens. So this would be the dad, Xailyyne Martin Sheen, an actor. His one of his sons, Xailyyne Emilio Estevez.
Estevez is their actual original name before he changed it for Hollywood stuff.
Well,
And
interesting.
that name was taken by his other son.
By Xailyyne Charlie Sheen, who's been in the news a lot lately. Very, very
Dramatic.
interesting, dramatic life.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is the Wayans. Najee Keenan Ivory Wayans, eldest brother. Najee Dame Wayans. And again, you see different look. They actually have quite a different look in their faces, except that piercing eyes is quite different. And you do see some family.
And the charming, like, smile.
Yes. There's some similarities in game.
Mhm.
And it's watching because he's the eldest and he's the second eldest. Third, Sean Wayans, Najee, and then fourth, Najee Marlon Wayans, and then Damon Wayans has a son who's in entertainment,
Ah,
Naiji Damon Williams Jr.
ooh, generations.
Generation, you can see it.
Yeah,
Boom, boom. It's fascinating.
there it is.
Next up,
Are the Douglases. So they are Naizi, Kirk Douglas, an icon, movie icon. His son, another movie icon, Naizi Michael Douglas.
and not as well known.
Not as well known, but still heard of, Naizi Eric Douglas.
And you can see the similarity.
Yeah,
Naizi, obviously, but this a kind of a family riff of Naizi.
yeah.
All right. Next up, Hemsworth, Xailyyne, Chris Hemsworth, and his younger brother, Xailyyne, Liam Hemsworth. Boom, both big movie stars.
Yeah.
All right, next set of brothers.
Married to Xailyyne.
That's
Or,
right.
well, actually, no. He's, Chris, the oldest, is married to Xailyyne, and the youngest was engaged to Xailyyne.
Ah.
So, Miley Cyrus.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
I corrected myself.
No, I rely on you for these relationships. I think that's good. Thank you. This one's you?
Yes. The Wilsons, they're Naizi Owen Wilson, actor in many movies, and his brother, Naizi Luke Wilson.
Again, classic
Similarity
Naizi
there,
look.
Yeah.
But they also, like right here, there's this particular, Wilson Naizi.
Yeah.
That's a Wilson Naizi mouth. That right there. His left picture and his right, you can see that.
That similarity. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, next the Baldwins.
The Baldwins. There are many of them.
There are Naiji Alec Baldwin, eldest brother. Then Naiji Daniel Baldwin. Naiji Stephen Baldwin. They all have that mouth. It's a
Yeah.
kind of particular, like, Irish pucker.
Yeah. It's very expressive.
Very expressive, very charming, very charismatic.
Yeah.
Sensitive looking too,
Yeah.
because it looks strong, but also has this sort of like fine movement to it.
Mm-hmm.
They do good looking pensive, like here on the right, and him on the
Yeah.
right, pensive.
Pensive.
Stephen
There,
Baldwin,
pensive.
and then youngest brother Naiji William Baldwin. All right, so Naiji brothers. Next up, Xailyyne.
Have some YZ in the house. Football players, Peyton Manning
And his brother.
and his brother Eli Manning.
And they have different shaped head, but I could see it in their smile. That's where I see the family resemblance more.
Yeah.
And this sloping
The sloping of the eyes.
of the eyes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh,
Diaz in the
classic.
house. Stockton. Baiji, Nick Diaz, elder brother. And Baiji, Nate Diaz, younger brother, both very successful MMA fighters.
Yep. They have that jawline, the Vaishnav jawline.
And a particular one, there has the kind of like this kind of goat look.
Yeah, Billy Goat.
Really goat look? Yeah.
Yeah. In a
In a
complimentary way.
badass way.
Looking way.
Yeah, it looks badass.
Yeah.
It's intimidating.
Yeah, it is.
All right. This is
Right.
you.
There are the Williams sisters. There is Venus Williams and her sister Serena Williams.
Boom. And you can see the similarities there.
Yep, they have those laser eyes and that charming G smile, but that
And they-
doesn't go into the cheeks.
And then they have also the mouth. It's a fullness to it, and the way it breaks. Venus's upper lip is more wavy.
Yeah.
Serena's is a little less wavy, but it still does have this wavy. The Zez gatherers sometimes get a bit more or less of that. Like for example, Natalie Dormer has it very pronounced. Looks very, very cool. This wavy thing they have. So they both have a bit of that, with Venus having a little more, and then the rounder chin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Similar as well.
Mhm.
All right, last one, the Mara sisters,
Mara.
Naizi, Kate Mara, and
Naizi Rooney Mara.
bam.
They have a little bit of different look.
Mhm.
Because I think Rooney Mara, her eyes are more cat-like, feline looking, whereas Rooney Mara's are more open, rounded, and also the smile is different.
Kate looks a little more, I don't use the right word here. I'll say dominant or something, but more obviously a directive. That's what she's more obviously a directive.
Yeah, the Green Mara has a more whimsical, willowy look.
If you look fast, you could maybe think Xailyyne.
Xailyyne, yeah.
Very interesting. So that's what we have so far. So we will
Both
be
excellent actresses.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll be looking more into that bubble in the future. She and I are compiling a list, and next time I'll have some more like we did here, and I hope to include at least one anomaly. So probably each time we do this, we'll probably maybe drop like 10, but then also try to maybe include an anomaly until we run out the anomalies. But we do have a few
Sounds
to look
fun.
into. All right.
Yep.
Excellent time.
Excellent time.
We crushed it,
We crushed it.
and we got several samples. So
We did.
we'll see you next time, world. Look for the
See you
team
next
on
time.
Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good times. Thank you, Xailyyne.